How to cook the perfect steak in a frying pan. Before we begin, I'm going to give you 3 very important tips. Firstly, get your steak from a good butcher and ask him to cut it thick cut. Choose from either sirloin, rump, ribeye, or fillet. Perfection. Secondly, take your steak out of the fridge at least an hour before you cook it. You want it at room temperature, otherwise the inside of your steak is going to be cold. Disaster. Thirdly, when you're putting salt seasoning on the steak, do it just before you cook it and not before. Otherwise, the salt's going to draw a lot of the liquid out of your steak. Okay, now on the internet, people don't really vary on how they cook their steaks. How they vary is how many times they turn the steaks during cooking. Some people say every 15 seconds, some people say every minute, and some people say only once. So I've got 3 thick cut pieces of sirloin. I'm going to cook them in the same pan, on the same heat, in the same way. The only difference is going to be how many times I turn them during cooking. How I like to work, because heats differ at home, pans differ, etc., is I work on this rule of thumb. Excuse the pun. Is that you take your thumb, put your index finger next to it, and feel just the palm of your hand underneath your thumb. Feel the steak, that's rare. Middle finger is medium, ring finger is well done, and last finger is charcoal to death. Throw it away, disastrous. Right, let's get to cooking. Pan on high heat. To check if your pan is hot enough, take some water, just a few droplets, drop it in. If it dances around and evaporates almost straight away, your pan is hot enough. So, ready to season the steaks, a little bit of olive oil. Nice dousing of salt and pepper, and really rub that in. In the pan, about 3 tablespoons of olive oil. Let that come up to temperature. And now it's very important to always lay your steaks away from you, because there might be a little bit of splatter. So, 1, 2, 3. Tongs, red wine, here we go. "15 seconds. It's very important to drink red wine while you cook your steak. Okay, that brings us to our first minute. This steak goes over. When we're just nearing the finish, we're going to add some thyme and then some butter, just to really enrich in that flavor. And the thyme will add a really beautiful herbiness to the flavor of the steak. Is that 3½? Right, we're halfway through cooking, so now I'm going to take some thyme, beautiful fresh thyme, rub that along our steaks, pop that in the pan, all across. It's going to add some nice flavor to it. 6 minutes. Right, with a minute to go, I'm just going to add a knob of butter. It's just going to really enrich in the steaks. Smear that all over. Put that in there. Beautiful. Okay, 7 minutes. Taking them off. That's the one we flipped every 15 seconds. That's the one we flipped every minute. And this is the one we only flipped once. That off the heat, we'll pour that over the steaks in a minute. Beautiful juices and herbs. Now, we want to rest them for at least 5 minutes. Some chefs say for as long as the meat has actually been cooking, but 5 minutes will do just perfectly. Okay, our steaks have been resting for 5 minutes. So now I'm going to take them out. This is the one that was turned every 15 seconds. every minute and only once. Cut into that. Perfectly cooked. Just delicious. So now for my sins, I get to taste them. Firstly, every 15 seconds. It's beautiful. The flavor of the thyme, everything really coming through. It's taste rested. Nothing wrong with that. For a minute, I can't taste much difference between the two, to be honest. And this was the turning only once. This is slightly more flavorful because there was more caramelization on the meat, and ever so slightly tender, more tender than those two. So I would say this is my pick. Turn it only once. 3.5 minutes aside. Butter, thyme, perfection. Now to serve, cut it into nice chunks. It's all beautiful. I'm going to take the juices that seeped out during resting, add them to the pan with the thyme, butter, and olive oil. Stir it around and pour it all over this beautiful, thick cut steak. Right. In we go with that. Now we swirl that around. The smell is just delicious. And I'm just gonna pour that all over that gorgeous meat. Take the thyme off there and finish with a few micro herbs. I think that looks bloody brilliant.